I wasn't going to talk about this thing that Hillary Clinton said the other day, but it came up in conversation because I frequently get criticized for dogging on Clinton-esque Democrats. I frequently get shit in my comments left and right for criticizing the Democratic establishment, the ways that it functions as controlled opposition, the ways that it has neglected, especially rural America, the ways that so many corporate Democrats function in service of the dark money, billionaire money, PAC money, foreign money that runs them. While they pretend that they're progressive, but they never work for like true change. A lot of lip service, an awful lot of lip service. People get really mad at me when I say that. You know, like I'm a middle-aged white lady. A lot of my friends loved Hillary Clinton when she ran for president. I was like, this is a terrible, terrible pick. And I am somebody who went and heard Hillary Clinton speak when I was 16 years old and she was the first lady. She wore like a little pink Chanel suit. She was really into her like trying to look like Jackie O phase. I know that establishment Democrats and even people politically left of there don't like to hear the fact that so many folks in conservative America are distrustful of the government. They are distrustful of Democrats. They were receptive to the lies of Donald Trump because corruption amongst the Democratic establishment is very real. The concept of Democratic elites is very real. Earlier today, I made a video on the concept of movement capture, how much billionaire money, dark money, controls our politics, controls our media, controls the philanthropic sphere as well. Money, 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 dark money, the super rich shape everything in order to reinforce their worldview in order to keep themselves powerful and wealthy. Don't actually really care about what would benefit us. They don't actually really care about substantive systemic change because that would deprive them of their power and influence and also of their paternalism. And I wish I had had time to get into that in that video, but let's do it here because so much of my criticism of the Clintons and of folks like them, including fucking Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego that I criticized in a video yesterday for his disgusting texts that got leaked. The way these guys perform in public for you to get your vote, to get your support, is paying all of the lip service to the progressive systemic change that you say that you want, that we all need. And then the minute they get elected, it's their big money donors that they're backing. It's AIPAC that they are working for. It's billionaires that they are strategizing, producing policy for. And not only that, it's their own fucking stock portfolios. How many times did Nancy Pelosi refuse to ban members of Congress from trading in single payer stocks? Why? Because she and her colleagues benefit to the hundreds of millions of dollars. This is why so many poor rural conservatives are distrustful of the Democratic establishment, why they call them Democratic elites. Because they refuse, they are barriers to the social change that we need. They are barriers to justice. Yeah, of course Republicans are too. Every time I talk about this, I get people in my comments who are like, but Republicans are the ones in power. Republicans are the ones that are super evil. And right, they make no secret about what their goal is. They make no secret. Donald Trump did paint himself as a faux populist, but Republicans in general, they're all about big business. They're all about hugely punitive measures against us and enrichment of themselves. It's all about corporate power, corporate wealth. They want the like they make no secret of that fact. It's Democrats who are like, yeah, we definitely want these reforms. Yeah, we could have gotten you universal health care, but let's just go for a watered down version. Let's go for Obamacare instead. Let's never go for the full thing, the big thing that would actually mean substantive change and improving our quality of life, because that would like shake up the system. That would threaten our power, our position as controlled opposition. So yeah, I thought Hillary Clinton was a terrible, terrible candidate, deeply uncharismatic, represents corruption and the Democratic establishment. And for me, represents that kind of paternalism. She and Bill Clinton both represent that kind of paternalism. That's we know what's best for you. And we're going to make sure that you get a little bit of it, just enough to keep voting for us, just enough to keep you pacified. We're going to pay lip service. We're going to have a thin veneer of wanting all of the social change that you advocate for and you want. But behind closed doors, in front of our wealthy donors, we sound like this.
Students, smart, well-educated young people from our own country, from around the world, where were they getting their information? They were getting their information from social media, particularly TikTok. That is where they were learning about what happened on October 7th, what happened in the days, weeks, and months to follow. That's a serious problem. It's a serious
For
problem
whom?
for democracy, whether
For
it's Israel or
you.
the United States, and it's a
Oh, there we
serious
go.
problem for our young people. It's not just
You think Israel's a
the
democracy?
usual
Bless your heart.
suspects. It is a lot of young Jewish Americans who don't know the history and don't understand. When you would try to talk to them to engage in some kind
What the fuck are
of
you talking about?
reasonable discussion, it was very difficult because they did not know history. They
Really?
had very little context.
Really?
And what they were being told on social media was not just one-sided, it was pure propaganda.
That was Hillary Clinton recently speaking at the Israel Hayom Summit. That means Israel Today. She is blaming folks being upset at the genocide in Gaza on the fact that TikTok creators were covering it when corporate legacy media wasn't. I want to quote real quick just from a little section of this piece put out on the Hill's opinion page. The column is called Robbie's Radar. She's back. Hillary Clinton is opining on a topic near and dear to her heart, the supposed misinformation spread by social media regarding all her favorite topics. This from a political figure utterly convinced she would be accepted by all the world and American voters in particular if people stopped listening to social media and instead got all their news from the credentialed experts of mainstream corporate media. The focus of her speech was that young people, many of them Jewish Americans, have turned against Israel over the genocide in Gaza and that that's all TikTok's fault. This is a very familiar refrain for Clinton, of course. When she lost the 2016 election, she blamed it all on Facebook. In particular, on Russian bots that supposedly flooded the platform with pro-Trump, anti-Clinton content. It's part of the reason that she concluded, in her own words, that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. She went on to say if people had trusted respectable news outlets, they wouldn't have fallen for the lies of social media, which are polluting our democracy. Now, we cannot discount the ways that Russia absolutely buys social media influencers, absolutely Russian bots and Russian pro-propaganda pages, absolutely all over Twitter, all over Facebook. There was that big scandal the other day when it came to light how many Twitter accounts that were big MAGA accounts are actually from other countries. They're not organically run US MAGA accounts. They are paid accounts spreading disinformation. Like, yeah, absolutely, that all happens. But to pretend that that's the only reason that Hillary Clinton was not elected, like, come on, y'all. So many of us had to hold our nose and vote for her because we knew how bad Donald Trump was going to be. But let's not fool ourselves into believing that most Americans thought that she was going to be a capable leader who was going to do what was best for us. She's always been perceived accurately as somebody who's incredibly ambitious, and it's about her own power, wealth, her own paternalism, which we see on full display again in this video. Skipping down in the opinion piece right here. So what I suspect people like Hillary Clinton are really mad about is that people are consuming news sources that elites do not approve of, and they are reaching conclusions that elites do not agree with. That's it. That's the whole story. They're not being manipulated or tricked. It's the same story as Americans losing faith in the Iraq War or the Vietnam War. The American people got tired of both those entanglements long before US policymakers and experts soured on those conflicts. They don't want us consuming news sources that they don't control. They don't want us forming our own opinions based on the evidence. We know that the Republicans want to control us. We know that the Republicans are a fascist party now, a party that loves authoritarianism, that's all about coercive control, gutting education so that we are ignorant and therefore more easy to manipulate. Don't be fooled for a second into thinking that corporate Democrats aren't just as paternalistic, that they aren't in many ways two sides of the same coin. After all, they're run by the same dark money, the same billionaire money, the same AIPAC money. If we want candidates who will represent us, if we want a representative democracy that works for the people, not for the elites, not for corporations first, but for the American people, our well-being, the Democratic Party has to clean house, and the American voter has to understand who is playing a game with us, who is trying to pull one over on us in order to protect their power and influence, who's in it for the paternalism versus who's in it for the people. By the way, good time to go to indivisible2026.org. Time to get these paternalistic dinosaurs out and get representation in government for us, the people.